Welcome to the Education, Career, and Beyond podcast. We've combined life experience with young adult drive and ambition. Are you just starting to college plan? Did you finish your education and wonder, now what? Join us in this lively discussion about the topics you need to know to create the next stage of your life's dreams, careers, finances, education, and more. Brought to you by Voice for Heroes 501c3. Welcome to a special bonus episode here that we just had to do because we have Sophie Anderson with us. If you follow this show, you know that she has been not only a guest host, but a guest on our show as she was wrapping up her high school career, graduating in Southern California. She was the governor for the Interact for Rotary for all of Orange County. And now she is starting her incredible adventure at Georgia Tech. And we have captured her here right as she has made that move. Because for all of you listening to this, maybe that you're just getting ready to start college, you've just started, you're doing it next year. Sophie's is sitting in that driver's seat right now and knows exactly what you're going through and feeling. So we're going to start that discussion. Ed, over to you.
Sophie, all whited out like a little angel sitting in Georgia.
She is an angel.
Sophie, I didn't really want to give you, Amy and I talked about whether or not we're going to give you a heads up on this conversation.
I didn't give her a heads up.
And I think that's good because we want young people and parents to get not a performance or a rehearsed version of what life is like going off to college and starting there for your very first time. And I've talked to a lot of young people, a lot of parents, but very rarely do we get to talk to someone who hit the ground as recently as you have. So I want you to walk folks through what it was like before you left, the packing up, saying goodbye to friends, saying goodbye to parents. What was going through your mind and what was going through your heart during that process? And crying is acceptable here.
Yes. It was surreal. I am not a particularly emotional person. I usually don't have tears of joy. Maybe sometimes I have tears of sadness, but it was weird. I definitely started packing a little bit later than my parents wanted me to, maybe like the day before. But as I was packing up my things and thinking like, wow, I am shipping myself and my life away from the home I've grown up in my entire life. And then I met with my two closest friends the night before I left. And it was weird. There are people I've known since 3rd and 4th grade, and we're all going to different corners of the US, not going to see each other for months. And it still didn't feel real. I was talking to them and I knew I was saying goodbye, but I was like, I still see you. You're still sitting next to me. My brain isn't comprehending that I'm actually going to be gone. So I didn't feel particularly sad during that point. But when I got on the plane that next morning, I couldn't keep it together. I was sitting. My parents were in a row in front of me, and I was behind them by myself, and the plane was taking off, and I was watching the California coastline go away and thinking about my parents and those two friends in particular, and realizing I'm leaving. I will be back, but when I go home, it's not really the same. I'm gonna leave again. My friends, we won't all be there at the same time. It's not nearly as easy to just text and be like, hey, you want to hang out? It has to be a little bit more coordinated. And it took maybe 30 minutes of the flight. I was sort of mourning that life that I was stepping away from. But I started thinking it's not necessarily contradictory to be sad and excited at the same time. I was mourning that sort of life that I've lived for 19 years, but also realizing wow, I get an opportunity to build upon all these new experiences, to live in a place where I literally know no one. I know no students. We have some family friends who live nearby, but I get to be on my own, and that's fascinating. So arriving, I was a bit nervous on the way there, but the moment I showed up and started meeting people, meeting my roommate, meeting my friends in my hall, it has felt like home every second since.
Wow.
I know there are a lot of kids who feel that anxiety continually throughout the process, and maybe it'll hit me later once classes start. But I have felt very fortunate to run into people who are willing to talk. Sometimes it's nervous to like people are standing in a group and I know none of those people, and it makes me nervous to like step forward and introduce myself. But then I think about, well, if someone stepped up to me, I'd be so grateful because I know no one and they probably know no one as well. So that's the mantra I keep repeating in my head. It's
Sure.
like people want to meet me and I want to meet people. So why don't I just go up and take that active effort to do it? And I've been loving it. It's been great.
Do you feel that that helps you feel better, really knowing that it is an even playing field, that you've all transplanted in from somewhere else, and for the most part, everyone is kind of their own little island trying to come together? Is that bringing you comfort?
Yes, definitely. When I was talking with some girls on my hall and they were talking about events that were going on in buildings that they're walking to, and I just said out loud like, "Guys, I don't know what you're talking about. Like I know nothing." And then they're like, "Oh, yeah, we know nothing too. Like we just heard this from someone else." Like and by being vulnerable and sharing that with them, I realized other people started being vulnerable towards me and saying like, hey, we collectively know very little. It can seem like other people know what they're doing, but we actually don't. And I think by sharing that, I've kind of reached that realization.
Hey, just a point of clarification, Sophie. I gotta ask Amy a question. That invitation to hang out with Sophie before she left, I don't remember getting my invitation in the mail.
I
Did you
didn't
get one?
No, I didn't remember. It must have gone to
Huh.
spam. I don't know how that could have
it,
happened.
it
But we
Maybe you
must
wrote
missed
down
have.
that
my
party.
address wrong. Who knows? But
It's
you
Yeah.
know.
possible. I just really, yeah. Mhm.
I
So,
apologize about
Sophie,
that,
you
guys.
kind of jumped into the process, and I want to back up a step a little
Okay.
bit. Can you talk a little bit about? You said you packed the last day. That sounds like a me thing. I would totally do that. I would put that off to the last minute. But I'm kind of curious the preparation to go. Like, did you have a map? You knew you were going to go, or did you kind of have to figure that out when you got on the ground too? Can you walk us through this new place, this new experience? How did you get from the airport? Like, I want to know the mechanical pieces of transitioning to this place that frankly has got to be gigantic, and where to go and how to do that stuff.
And did you have 25 bags?
These are very good questions. So
Maybe.
I think one acknowledgement that's important to make is I was with my parents. I'm very fortunate that my parents were able to come with me. I know a lot of people either can't afford to pay for flights or their parents are busy in work. So my parents were definitely a huge help. And then the second acknowledgement is we have friends who live in Atlanta about like 2 minutes away from the campus.
Cool.
So they are very helpful. So I think the mechanics for me were maybe a bit easier than it may be for other people, but stepping off the plane, we got a rental car. We drove to a hotel where we stayed for the night and just checked in, slept there, and then there were, oh my goodness, so many emails from the school about the steps that you have to go through, where to arrive, where
Wow.
what to have, what to bring, and that was definitely overwhelming. I already receive a lot of emails, and many of them are spam and junk. So I am working on getting better at responding to them, but seeing that laundry list of things was a bit like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. Um, we went through registration. Luckily, at Georgia Tech, it's a pretty streamlined process. I mean, we basically sat in the car the whole time as we went down from station to station.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really great. It did take a while, but we got through it. And then there were people there to help us move the bags into the dorm. And regarding the bags, I did probably bring too much. I had about three checked like duffel bags and then a lot of things from Amazon that were and one thing that I would recommend, we didn't Amazon the stuff to the school. We Amazoned it to our friend's house. So we didn't have to fly with it. So if you know someone in a town, if you're going out of state, if you're able to send it to their house, would highly recommend if they're willing to lend their basement to you for a few days or weeks.
So, Sophie, quick question. You're a Southern California gal. What's that humidity like hitting the
I was
ground?
asked that. She went from the Southern California to the South.
It's hot. It's the first day I think I was talking to some people who actually live in Atlanta, and they're like, it's never this hot here. This is like wildly hot for even Atlanta. Sticky. I was planning on wearing like cute outfits, but that didn't work out. It was just sweaty and gross. I'm trying to make a good first impression, guys, but it was but honestly I get used to it. People the first when I tell people like, oh, I'm going to Georgia Tech, and I'm talking to people from Southern California, they're like, oh, you're not going to be able to take the heat. I mean, I have to. So there are buses, there are ways to get out of it. It's air conditioned. So manageable, not a pro of the school, however.
I'm waiting for her to come back on with us with a Southern accent.
I am working so hard not to get that. I've talked with a few people who have Southern accents, and I want to talk with everyone, but maybe not them.
It's just go with it. Just go with it. What are the things that you thought were going to be difficult that ended up being easier than you thought? And then on the flip side, has there been something that you thought would be easy that's been difficult?
That's a 2-part question. Ooh. Only answer one part.
Okay. One thing I thought would be difficult was making friends and meeting people. I think I addressed that a bit before. But having the confidence to like walk up to people having the confidence to do it versus actually doing it. It's way easier than I thought it would be. So, and inviting people, if I see someone standing alone, just being like, hey, my name's Sophie, what's your name? What's your major? And where are you from? It's a generic starting line, but it works. Something that I thought would be easier, but it's actually been harder, is there are a lot of events going on campus. We have a little app that shows there are some clubs that are doing introduction sessions. There was an event where you can meet puppies. There are events where you can learn about how to apply for fellowships or meet with people from your major. There's so much going on. And I am the kind of person who's interested in a lot of things, and you physically can't do everything. There are events happening at the same time. So having to reflect on like, okay, what do I want out of today? What sort of choices do I want to make? What will I maybe be able to meet with later, or what's most immediate now? And making those decisions for myself has definitely been something I didn't expect. And yeah, sometimes it's upsetting that you can't go to the puppy petting thing, but it's it's just how it works. And I'm realizing that I can't do everything, and that's going to continue throughout my time at college.
And life. That's
life.
Yeah. Welcome to life.
Welcome to life. Nobody's bringing me puppies to work.
So, Sophie, I probably should ask this in the beginning. How long have you actually been on campus?
Yes.
Ooh, not even a week. So today's Friday, I think, correct?
No.
Yeah.
No, Thursday. Oh my goodness.
Like, yeah, sure.
Partying like a rock star already. Doesn't even know what day of the week it is.
There have been no parties yet. The fraternities and sororities are rushing this week. I've decided not to join one, but there will be parties soon, so we'll see how that goes. I think I moved in Saturday or Sunday, so yeah, not even a week, and classes start on Monday.
Okay.
I registered for my classes, or changed a bit of my classes today, so it went really well, which I'm very grateful for. So yeah.
What are your initial classes this first semester?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ooh, so right now I'm registered for linear algebra, either chemistry like 1 or 2. I have to decide how I want to deal with that. I'm in a global leadership learning community, which has been really fantastic. I'm with a lot of other students who are interested in service and doing work for social good around the world. So I have a class for that. I'm not taking English. I'm taking a health class. I've heard that's slightly easier. And I'm studying biomedical engineering, so I'm taking a biomedical engineering intro class, and then I'm taking a CS class learning MATLAB, which I think is a computer programming language, but I couldn't tell you. I know nothing.
Wow, seems like a light load. I really wish you would have put a little bit more into this first one.
I
I
wonder when you're
I
gonna have
am a little
time.
bit concerned. That's another thing I've sort of been struggling with is, in high school, people often told me like, "Oh, don't take AP chemistry your sophomore year. That's really hard and you're gonna fail." And I was like, "Well, it can't like I people were telling me that and I had no experience and I was able to take it and there's sort of low risks in high school, not as much as in college." And I learned that when people were telling me something wasn't impossible or very difficult or I couldn't do it in high school, that wasn't really the case for me. I had a work ethic that worked well and I really believed that I could do it. So now that I'm arriving to this new school and number one thing I hear is like Georgia Tech classes are really hard. Georgia Tech classes are impossible. Don't take this, and this. And it's so hard for me to know what it's going to be like for me.
Mhm.
Am I listening to other people and then shooting myself down and shooting myself down on my opportunities?
Yeah.
Or am I making smart choices to get a strong foundation for freshman year? Am I doing myself good by taking if I took an easier class road? I have no clue, and maybe next week I'll regret the fact that I'm taking 4 STEM classes, and I'll have to change that. But I I really have no clue how that's going to turn out. But it has been difficult.
Hey, Sophie, you've been there almost a week. Uh, Anything that you wish you had brought or you have to buy on Amazon that you didn't think of beforehand?
Ooh, that's a really good
It's gonna be
question.
something like
I ask really good questions. Why is it so surprising to everybody?
toothpaste.
There were a few things I left at home. Um, okay, one thing, I think this is just me being a little forgetful. I wanted to put pictures of my friends around my dorm room, and I completely forgot to buy them. Luckily, we have a CVS near us, so I'll print those. In terms of like appliances, though, command strips, but command my the paint falls off so easily on my walls. It's bad.
It's all the
Um,
humidity.
all the
Paint can't stick.
humidity. Maybe a tool set. I had to loft my bed, and the school can at Georgia Tech, like they can do it for you, but it's taking a while. So it may take them a whole week. So you can't really set up your room yet. So I think by having some like a set of tools, maybe a mallet, um, is probably pretty useful.
Cool. That's a good
It's a good
observation.
idea.
Thanks for sharing that. All right,
Thanks.
Sophie, I know you've got lawn croquet coming up and you gotta go
Puppy visits.
yeah, you gotta go
Yes.
visit the puppies. We don't want to take much of your time, but I think you telling folks your experience may give them some insight what it might be for them when they show up, what parents by the way, how are mom and dad? Are they like freaking out, calling you, texting you every 5 minutes? How's that
They're
going?
the ones having the parties.
They're the ones
No.
having the parties. I I think they're doing okay. I had I think I've called more than they've called me. So I think that's a pretty good
That's a good
ratio.
Yeah, that is.
that's good.
Sophie, it was so good to have you on here. By the way, just to follow up for people who pay attention to your world, how's the rehab on the surgery? You feeling good? Doing good? How you doing?
My surgery?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't have surgery.
No, that
What?
was McKenna.
Whatever. So,
I'm glad I didn't
well,
have surgery.
Sophie,
I'm
keep
in
us
great
posted
health.
when you have surgery and how that goes for you. Sorry, I
I'll
get
let
all
you
you
know.
cool
Our
achievers mixed up.
overachievers.
It's
My
okay.
surgery was fine, Sophie. I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
trying to get
fine.
you to ask me how
It's
I'm doing.
it's fine. Sophie, we are so proud of you. Oh, did you find the Rotaract Club yet on campus?
Ooh, no, I have not. There is a club
Okay.
fair, I think next week, and
That
I
would be
I
good.
will scout them out. And oh, this is an update. I think I mentioned the Youth Advisory Council that I was applying for it on the last podcast, and
Yes.
I'm on it now. So I got it.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. So for those who maybe not know, I'm working with Rotary International, advising them at the top level about how to create better youth programs. So I'm
Nice.
very excited.
Excellent. You and I will stay
Above average
connected.
achiever, Sophie Anderson in the house.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Sophie, thank you so much for your time today, especially in the midst of all the excitement. We just kept you from 5 activities, but we appreciate it so much.
I appreciate you guys and this opportunity to talk. So thank you.
Thanks, Sophie. Appreciate you.